Are you a warrior ant, a worker bee, or are you who you are supposed to be? Find out and become a CEO of your life so you can be what you really are. We have been bickering and even killing each other over our differences about God's existence. It makes me want to point towards the real problem. Whether God exists or not to you, it is still your responsibility to live a mortal life with a wisdom which creates not only comfort for your body and brain, but it feeds your soul to be happy and content in all areas of life. Wisdom or God is worth a priceless pearl, yet for the non-believers it simply is a drop of just water. Each teardrop has a story behind it, so look and see what is your real story. If you are deprived of oxygen even for minutes, you lose all functions of life, so being alive for you is not in your hands, or I should say you simply can't will it. Remember, you breathe free oxygen and you are alive and functioning because of that. If that is the case, why do you have a big ego that makes you believe that whatever is happening by you exclusively? If you start to look at your existence and how you function, you would know how you are consistent of trillions of cells, and every cell of yours is constantly screaming out loudly to tell you about the existence of God. Depending on your ability to listen. You, yourself, is like the cells of human body. They receive life-giving oxygenated and nutrient-rich blood to live and function. They may have never seen you as a whole, but they can clearly acknowledge and feel being part of it. They try and continue to reciprocate until they are expired. As human beings, we all are, metaphorically speaking, cells of God. We may not be able to see God, but it is all about the personal perceptions while we are alive. For instance, if you want to enrich your mortal life experiences, you may and should believe in God and reciprocation, because our makeup is pointing towards it. Just like our cells do for our bodies' well-being in return for bodies providing life-giving circumstances. Looking at life with this metaphor, you can not only see your personal disconnects, but you can also see and feel the influences of our spiritual side within the living and functioning body. Imagine and picture that the cells in our body are communicating with each other and vigorously discussing or arguing whether the body exists or not. After further discussion, if one cell states that there is no body but we just belong to one group of cells like arms or legs, believing in that is just like believing in a group but nothing beyond. That not believing beyond group of cells means we don't look at the reality of humanity and God, yet it is clearly evident that there is a lot more than our groups, yet the reality is that all cells belong to the matter that makes up the body. Physical side is only one side of the complicated and complex picture of humanity and God. For cells, how the human body functions can be disputable fact because they can't see the body as a whole, just like we can't see God as a whole entity. As cell 1 can say that it does not exist, but the part they belong to does exists for sure, so the belonging group's knowledge can dictate for the individual cell to believe or not to believe. If it does not exist according to the knowledge of belonging group or existing body part, personally we would be making a judgment with a half knowledge. Remember, we still learn something new every day. If that is the case, what makes you believe your existing knowledge is ultimate and complete? As human individuals, our belonging groups make us think that we are it. If you see others, they are not our friends or working for God. Worse of that is they are portrayed as enemy and must not be trusted and actually fought against. Before you make negative assumptions and begin to look for problems and or deny the benefits of believing in God. Being mortal, our life does not have to be scientifically or mathematically correct to be fulfilled. Ultimately, it just has to be filled with reciprocation, happiness and contentment. That is, if you want to know the real meanings or purpose of your mortal life. To explain what I think does not mean I want everyone to agree with me and spend all their life the way I would like them to, or even any religion or atheist group wants them to. If you want to put some peace, happiness and contentment into your mortal life, you will have to learn about human behavior of extreme. My purpose this writing is to try to make those extremists from both sides to come down to earth and smell the realities of mortality, not only for themselves but respect others' life as well. Most if not all religions start with the empty words of compassion for all, but their politics of sense of belonging overpowers to the point that word compassion loses its first 3 letters, so compassion becomes passion. When everyone becomes passionate about their group politics, the whole hell of prejudice and discrimination breaks. Live and let live is a spiritual and compassionate thing, yet I have to ask how that can be that all religious, and I repeat all religious wars have been a part of our history. To me, all religious wars have been and will always be political wars, period. Our politics of sense of belonging is so powerful that we even use God to turn our differences-related disputes and territorial disputes into religious disputes just to work up the regular folks to passionately keep stalking the disputes. When things don't add up, accept the results and get on with your mortal life while you try to find God to have a pleasant journey. You don't have to choose any politics-riddled organized religion nor to be forgiven for uncommitted sins. You just have to become comfortable in your mortal skin. It is totally fine to be not knowing everything that there is to know. Always remember, we are still in a process of evolution. Our brain, body, and we as a whole being are not only as an individual but collectively as well going through a God-given process. We have been and are still evolving. Regardless of learning new things every day, we still believe we know everything there is to know, yet interestingly our personal time is limited. This limited time should make us all humble, but as we grow up somehow we end up getting infected with the politics of our sense of belonging to our groups. This infection is rampant in all over the world, making us grow the worst of ego, pride, honor and related personal and social problems. Putting us all in not only internal group fighting but with externally disputing or even going to wars with other groups over our differences. Competing against each other just in the name of sense of belonging seem harmless in our sports, but the politics of it is the one which makes us work against even ourselves as humanity and God. To give a clear perspective or understanding, I am going to attempt to define God without politics. Picture deep into your arm or leg you have your two body cells talking to each other, discussing whether the body exists or not. Now, remember, scientifically we have 10 trillion cells of our own and our bodies function with the 100 trillion bacteria or foreign life as well, so the complexity is so immense that we are still learning to figure out how to get help if we get sick. It's not done yet, because to me it is mind-boggling to know that it is constantly evolving as well. If you think you have it all figured out, you should be happy and content in your mortal skin. If you are not, you need to learn a lot more about yourself and your own functioning, never mind about God, with certainty. Remember, we have been fighting wars for thousands of years, and I can bet that no one really knows the death toll of our differences and extreme related so-called complete knowledge. If we go to wars for our religious belief systems or democracies, it is not spiritual, so before you decide with certainty about God, you need to learn that you yourself literally are an example of God. Just look at yourself. You yourself are God for 10 trillion personal cells and 100 trillion of bacteria you contain within you. They have not even seen you from outside, how you look like and how you function, yet you have a life-giving relationship with each other. Both sides, believers or non-believers, should not make a complete judgment with an evolving knowledge. Anyway, an extremely complex body with just as complexly running systems should give us some sobering and humbling visions of life, especially if we got a short time to live. Regardless of our scientific advances as a human individual, we still need spirituality to survive aging, sickness and mortal nature, and to be happy and content. Logically, it should make us all humble, but our belonging groups twist things to the point that we can be used and controlled. They use this awareness to conform us so we can become followers of whatever is preached to us. It is hard to keep personal individuality when everyone in the group becomes willing to kill and die for the politics of sense of belonging. We surrender our individual identity or individuality to please and power up our groups. We identify ourselves as groups like Muslim, Canadian, black or white, male or female, etc. Yet we individually forget, we are blessed with free will and personal sense of justice, and our real identity is a human being. Now let's see what is wrong with believing that we just belong to a group of people exclusively. The cell in the arm or leg is an arm or leg which belong to a whole body as part of the body, just like a group of people, nation, race or religion within the humanity. Belonging to or considering that is the whole picture, is denying the facts that we belong to humanity as a whole, yet we are totally torn with the group politics, and for God knows since when. It's like no one wants to admit the reality regardless of what has been calling us to grow up and evolve to take the next leap of faith in humanity and join. You simply can't deny the facts of global warming and the risk of infections like Ebola or Zika. Weather extreme and melting is speaking loudly enough for us, but some people are intentionally playing dumb from Trump's Mexican wall to Brexit. It's all about the politics of divisions. Would we ever overcome and change our sense of belonging from our groups to humanity? Maybe. Let's be hopeful and optimist. Humanity can't build walls high enough to protect itself from the issues at hand. Sooner we come to terms and get together the better, but we are busy with building nuclear weapons or other means of mass destruction for each other. It's all because of our politics and loyalties to our arms or legs, yet we should be thinking about the whole body, because if something happens, arms or legs are not going to survive on their own. If you claim you are better than other cells and happen to go to war against each other, yet both sides pray to God for help and destroy the others, now just imagine what kind of situation you put God into. You actually are asking God to kill and destroy other parts of God. One can assume why prayers don't get fulfilled all the time. Understand God and pray for peace and harmony as the prayers should be. A mortal being needs practical physicality as well as soul-soothing food. If the cells could talk, they would be talking about the body just like we talk about God. Unseen, yet it provides soul-connecting feelings of deeper fulfillment for a mortal being. That is if you care about the details for yourself. If you want science as dominating force in your living years, take it as an essential for modern living, but remember to feed your soul as well, because at the end of the day you are the one who is responsible for living a full life. Especially a mortal life should be filled with not only with reciprocation, it should be filled with deeper happiness and contentment as well. As I have mentioned in earlier posts, our sense of belonging has some offsprings and our ego is one of them. Human has not been able to conquer the ego since the day of awareness. We do things and believe in things that are approved truths of our belonging groups. In West we have a lot more science, and in the East a lot more religion. Regardless of who you belong to, they are like arm or leg or another part of the body. Now bear with me to understand body functions with a whole lot of different cells. Brain, heart, lungs, liver, kidney, colon, skin, immune, good and bad bacteria, and so on and on. Known and unknown. Regardless of all the chaos, there is an order to keep us all alive and well functioning like God. Believing in sense of belonging to arm and leg means that either you don't really know how the whole body is functioning, or you just are plain ignorant because of the politics of your sense of belonging to your belonging groups. Sure, we like to know about everything. We want everything to be understood scientifically, yet we are always and constantly faced with more and more questions, so everything, even what science has proven, is questionable with evolution. Doctors used to prescribe mercury and they take pride in science, yet today mercury is a proven poison, so are a whole lot of other things we were and are still fed by our so-called experts. Just like our governing and even justice systems were riddled with prejudice and discrimination, even they are changing, we still have a long way to go, especially spiritually. Regardless of our strides, we still need to evolve further. If we take our body as an example of God and compare it with whatever is happening in our world, it would not be two cells, it would be multiple cells arguing and killing each other to simply hurt the body. This can be described as an autoimmune disease where immune cells attack self, meaning the body they belong to. Cells disregarding how it affects or hurts the body. Now imagine if we are causing spiritual pain to God in the name of our religions. Metaphorically speaking, we are on the wrong path if we are trying to secure ourselves as a body part. It is clearly evident that we can't function as groups. We need to understand how the whole body functions. Here is an example. To me it is not funny, but it describes what is really happening within the humanity. Say a brain cell says to all others in the body, if I am not there, none of you can live. Heart cell quickly jumps and says, if I would not pump blood to you, you die. Lung could not stay quiet and says, I am the one who brings in oxygen, so none of you can live without the oxygen. Liver says I function to take care of your mess all the time. If I am not there, you will not survive. Kidney says the same thing. Skin says if I am not there, you will die of infections. Colon breaks the silence and says you all are full of shit. If I don't provide you food to live, you will starve to death. Then God speaks, when I am here I make all functions run in harmony so I can live within you. If and when I leave I can't live physically and you can't live spiritually or physically. As a being who is getting all the oxygenated and nutrient-rich blood to live from a perfectly functioning body. My metaphoric question is to all human individuals: why would you cause all the pain and sufferings to the body or metaphoric God? If you start to look at it seriously, you would look at humanity with clear vision. Otherwise you have been brainwashed by the politics of your sense of belonging to just a group of people, cells of a body part. To me, regardless of scientific leaps and strides, spirituality is an individual thing, yet it is the universal and important thing because of our individual mortality. Since it is beneficial or harmful to the individual, it is an individual's duty to put everything in place to be comfortable in a mortal skin. My goal is not to put any human knowledge down. I am trying to help the individual to evolve so they can see the politics behind all the political divisions and decide for themselves while keeping mortality and shortness of life in front as priority. All this make us all with the potential to be a CEO of our lives, so as a CEO we need to take charge. Now just think if you want to only care for the arm or a leg. Well, that is what happens in the time of global warming. We think the body is not as important by our arm or leg, yet the reality is with limbs cut off, body can still live, but when they are cut, it will die and can't live on its own. When people have their sense of belonging to their respective groups, simply they're thinking they just belong to a part of the body, not the whole body. To me, God is the whole body, and you just want to belong to a group of people, and the worst part is that you want your body part to dominate the whole body regardless of how much pain it causes to God. You got to be able to see the bigger picture. If you can't, you need to evolve further and quickly. Lack of education is one thing, but deliberately not trying to understand is politics related to ignorance. Bottom line is that we as human beings are not just connected to the body part exclusively, we are an integral part or main character of the bigger picture as well. Thinking otherwise is still in the process of evolving or half knowledge. Whether it is coming from a sports team, community, race, gender, nation or religion, if it is serving a group of people exclusively, it is based on prejudice and discrimination, plain and simple. Every group has its hidden politics behind their rules. To me, if it is political, it is not spiritual, and yes, even if it is coming from the religions, because sooner or later it will take the individual to a zone where they will be following the politics of prejudice and discrimination against other cells of the body. If we have a disorder or disease in the body, its pain is felt by the body as a whole. To me, spirituality is harmonizing and cure for pain. Now you look for your personal reasons. Why do you want to cause pain and suffering for God in return of life-giving circumstances? Do you feel the need of help instead of being helpful? It is not in your DNA, it is taught behavior or mental disorder. Otherwise you are directly connected to God Almighty at a personal level for reciprocation, so you actually have no reason to feel helpless. If you seek help from people around and sell your soul for security, you have to realize that they even can't help themselves because of mortality. The real help is within you. Seek and find God from within. Politics of our sense of belonging has been making us create a lot of pain to God, yet we twist it in such a way the pain causers are told they are doing it in the name of God. Always remember, with free will, God had put a whole lot of responsibilities on our individual shoulders, and with these responsibilities our life is our personal project. With mortal nature, we need to make sure our life is lived properly to create order, not disorders, in the body of God.